Hi, I'm Travis.
Hi, I'm Jonathan.
And welcome to the 100 Ways to Love a Cat podcast.
It's the podcast that eventually plays the song 100 Ways to Love a Cat.
That is definitely coming up. I can't wait to hear it. Looking forward to it. This is my time to enjoy it just as much as it is Jonathan's and all of you listeners.
How often do you listen to it during the week when we're not doing the podcast?
It used to be, and you can tell me I'm slacking if you want, and I'll accept that, but I used to listen to it at least one more time a week as opposed to 1 week. To get ready to listen to it with you, I used to feel like I needed to practice.
No, prep work, I do
that. Exactly. We've been doing this. I believe this is our 20th, I believe. This is a landmark. We've done 20 of these. Of course, we did hundreds of these years ago on the original tapes that were lost in the fire. But as far as this format, this version, this is our 20th episode. So I feel as if when we get to it this week, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm ready for it. I'm always ready for it. And I don't want to, because there is something about prepping too much, knowing, you know what I mean? Practicing too much. And, you know, you lose the feel of it. You lose the flow of it. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to throw anything off. I don't want to just hammer my head. So I listen to it. I do. I save up for it. I get it once a week. It is a 35-minute song, so you do have to find the time to do it, because I will not listen to some of it. I cannot do that. I've tried that before. It's impossible. I'm just going to listen to, 10 minutes of it.
No, you can't.
It's impossible. 5 minutes. Oh, I just want to hear the melody. Oh, I told myself that many a times. Like, what is that line there? I just need to listen to it to remember Nope. All the way through. Every time.
It takes longer to find the line than it does to listen to it all the way through.
It does.
And
it does.
It's like a peppermint stick. It's like, well, I'm going to have one lick. Well, you know what happens. Mm-hmm. You wind up eating the whole thing.
You do.
No matter whether you just lick it all.
But you love every minute of it, though. You licking the stick. I mean, there's everything about you can't keep from. Like, sure, if I lick it once today, I'll have it to lick later. If you were to set it aside,
well, no, if there was something that you licked it like once and then like 5 minutes later you're like gross, you wouldn't lick it. It wouldn't be what we're talking about. We're talking about something that gets better the more you
absolutely
you listen
you would
to
just
it or
go,
lick it or
you would just lick all the way through it. You would exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a good comparison to the song.
It is a good comparison to the
licking
song.
or listening.
When people say, you know what, your song, it hasn't been a lot of people, but Aunt Rayla once told me that when she first heard this song, she said, it reminds me of the Dancing Candies. It reminds me of the Spinning Sweets. She said, it reminds me of a sky full of, like a baker spilled his apron and the cupcakes of the rainbow spilled out. She said, it reminds me of a frosting circus. She said, this reminds me of going to the ice cream shop and everyone got a little drunk and suddenly all the tops are off the jars and all the toppings are on the floor.
Sure.
And everyone's slipping and sliding and all the many colors. She said, it reminds me of all the different toothpastes all being squirted out and swirling together in the sky. She said, look up in the sky the next time there's a rainbow. She said, look up in the sky the next time you feel a Fruitopia coming on. And tell me that doesn't remind you of your podcast.
Well, that's just so sweet, but nothing about it. No image, cat imagery, no kittens, no, just all.
No, it was all can. It was all
which is
colorful
fine.
things. It was candy.
Absolutely. Well, cats can be very colorful.
Baked goods.
You have tabbies. Cats can be
toothpaste,
calico. They can be orange. Lots of
no,
colors.
she didn't say. Well, we're.
That's fine. You're welcome to interpret it or feel how you feel. That was, I would say from the person who helped create this song, from my point of view, trying to get across was how much I genuinely love cats, and I would hope you would come away with just a better opinion or a concerned opinion about cats. How do I love? We go down the list. But if you think about Bakery, there's nothing wrong. Certainly nothing wrong with that.
Do you think that was an insult?
I'm sorry?
That she was trying to let me down gently?
No, not at all.
She didn't really say. Now that I think back on it, and I could play it because I recorded it. Because I said, "Can I ask you what you think?" And then I recorded it.
Oh.
That was when I was doing that reel-to-reel thing. She said she didn't really say, "When I think of your podcast, this." This candy in the sky reminds me of your podcast. Mm-hmm. She was like, the candy in the sky and the toothpaste swirling around and look up in the rainbow. It's a Fruitopia. Mm-hmm. She didn't really mention the podcast. So maybe it was a deflection. Like she didn't have anything positive to say.
Well, we don't know that. You shouldn't jump to conclusions like that.
She let us record once in her parlor.
She did. She did.
And that was it.
Well, it's not everyone's, obligation to let us come.
You know what
a
I think it
in
was?
their home.
And I'm going to say this goes back to your original point. I think it was the second point or one of the earlier points when you said, "Oh, you can't do things too many times and you have to just let it go." Because remember how many practice podcasts did we record?
Oh, God, there were at least, have to be over 100 of just the practice ones.
Because we would record a practice podcast.
Yeah. And then we would
immediately delete it.
Right.
And then we'd say, not good enough. And then we'd do it again. And I think what happened
after we did listen to it. And we immediately know. Some of them we didn't listen all the way through. You would get.
We always listen to the song, though, because
of course,
that was the problem.
That's the point. It took up a lot of time.
It took up a lot of time. Once you got to the song, if you could cut it off before the song, then. But if you made it to the song, you're
in trouble because
we're in for the long haul. So I think what she heard was one of those when we had just been doing it too much. Like they say, well, you have to do something.
Did you play that for her? Because I didn't know those were available. I thought
a lot of those were.
Oh, she was. Oh, at the home. I see.
As we did it.
I see.
I told her to leave, but
I
see, and also that threw me off. So I think also we'd been practicing too often, and we'd done it too many times, and
right.
You get to the point where it's just let's do it instead of let's do it again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
I know
let's
exactly
just
what you
do
mean.
it instead of like do it again. No, that's two different.
Well, that was then, and this is now. This is how we attack things now.
I saw
we have a
her.
new process. I think it's It's a healthier process.
I said, "You've got to leave. You've got to leave." And then she was standing there. Did you not? I saw her house shoes under the drapes, and that's how I knew with her feet in them. Not just she'd not just put
she was
her
hiding
shoes there. She was hiding.
I
thought, well,
recall.
it doesn't matter. But you know what? It
threw
me off.
It's
and
her
then
house.
She winds up not liking it, and then suddenly it's.
The way I look at it, it's her house. If she wants to hide behind the curtains, she can do that all day. Those are her curtains. She is her own person. She can hide herself anywhere in her own house.
Well,
behind
she does
furniture,
do it all
anywhere.
day. She does do it all day. I don't know if you really call it hiding behind the curtains, but looking out the window. But sometimes she's sort of behind the curtains if she doesn't want anyone outside to see her.
She's welcome. Those are her. That's her windows, her curtains.
She's going to run her life her way.
Well, that's exactly as she should. As she should. And I didn't take what you were saying as an insult in any way. I don't think that she was upset or didn't like or was trying to deflect this podcast. I didn't see any evidence to that.
Do you remember we listened to it? So she sat there and then she listened to it. And then she hid and she listened to it. And then when we listened to it in the kitchen, she was in the hallway.
Okay. I recall that. She very well could have been listening to us. But let's say she did listen to it every one of those times. then that even makes more sense. Like how she went on and on about the different baking goods and how it made her feel, and the colors and the toothpaste and the.
So you think it was a good?
I still think it is. I mean, I think you're just kind of second guessing.
Because if you remember that one, that was the one where we talked about the different. You were talking about double knots. Mm-hmm. And I was talking about, no, I just like to do it one knot.
Right.
But if you make that knot good enough, that's all you need. And you said, well, I'd like the peace of mind of a double knot.
And you're the one walking around in those shorts or shoes, and you need to tie it 2 times. That's fine.
And remember, then we listened to it again because we couldn't decide if it was a good one, a good practice or not.
Right.
That was the thing. It's like, well, was this a good practice? And then you and I would go back and forth, and then we'd decide that it wasn't, and then we'd delete it.
Right.
And then we listened to it in the hallway. Do you remember? Mm-hmm. Well, she was in the kitchen.
You know what? And that's, well, and again, she's welcome to be wherever she wants to be in her own home. But because we did that, that's where we're at today. I think it took all of those practices and those recorded practices. It took all of that to get to, because I heard this story. In order to be a professional, which I'm not, I wouldn't use that term in regards to myself in any way, but it takes thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, like the Beatles. Remember the Beatles? Mm-hmm. This is back in the 60s.
Right. That's when they were famous.
Exactly. But before they were famous, they played together over thousands of times.
Yeah, but nobody cares about that because they weren't famous then.
They cared about it, and they had to do that.
Nobody ever heard that or wants to hear it.
That's not the point. The point is they had to do all of that in order to get to where, when they did sound good, which is mid-career, somewhere around there. That was the waste part.
But
it took the
practice part.
It took the practice to get them. Again, I'm not a fan of their early work. That's just me personally. Some people I know like that. But to me, they did not blossom until around Abbey Road. That's when I thought that they hit their peak. So all of those albums, to me, like the shows that they played live, that was part of the process to get to where I enjoy them anyway. But it took them all those hours of playing, all those albums of, Walrus and all their songs, all those albums to finally get to something like Abbey Road. It took all of that came before it to get there.
That makes so much sense. Mm-hmm. That's why when I hear those, I'm like, what? That's just practice.
That's it. They practiced. That's how they got.
Do you think they ever got to where they wanted to be before the drugs blew it all apart?
I think when drugs get involved, I don't even know how you can even answer that because they were all so... They were lost, they were lost young men. Do you think
this is what Aunt Rayla was trying to tell me? The Beatles, because she was talking about that sounds a lot like a song that John Lennon
he talked about fruit flying in the sky a lot.
Yes.
There was a lot of his songs where he sang about colors, and granted, he was on drugs.
Right. I mean, these are the songs that I would assume were practice waste songs, but maybe
for some,
it's a code to tell you, hey, keep at it.
Right. Exactly.
This is good. It's not something I want in my parlor on a regular basis, but don't give up. Maybe that's what she was trying to say.
I can't think of a better compliment or better encouragement than that. Aunt Rayla, thank you.
Thank you. And here's a payment.
Let's play the song 100 Ways to Love a Cat.
There are 100 ways to love a cat, 100 loving ways. Way 1, keep a tidy house for them, 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 2. Be sure to clip their claws. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 3. Scoop their box daily. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 4. Brush them with a hairbrush. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 5. Don't squeeze their paws hard. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 6. Give them some fresh water. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 7. Let them have a fish. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 8. Buy them a scratching post. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 9. Put them in your lap. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 10. Be quiet when they're sleeping. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 11. Whisper, I love you. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 12. Rub their soft belly. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 13. Make sure their tail is clean. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 14. Give them a yarn ball. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 15. Make them a nice bed. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 16. Buy him some catnip. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 17. Play them some music. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 18. Get them a cute collar. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 19. Make sure they're vaccinated. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 20. Take their picture. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 21. Brush their teeth. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 22. Let them watch TV. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 23. Don't let them be outside by themselves. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 24. Feed them some cat food. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 25. Make sure their eyes are clean. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 26. Put a liner in their box. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 27. Give them a mat to wipe their feet on. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 28. Don't forget them on Christmas. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 29. Make sure they're spayed or neutered. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 30. Hold them like a baby. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 31. Let them have a towel or blanket. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 32. keep your toilet lid down. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 33. Don't let them chew on power cords. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 34. Set them by the window. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 35. Cat-proof your home. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 36. Change their litter weekly. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 37. Praise them lavishly. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 38. Never feed him chicken bones. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 39. Teach them a funny trick. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 40. Give them a toy mouse. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 41. Clean up their hairballs. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 42. Keep them away from candles. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 43. Give him a separate zone. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 44. Never play with them aggressively. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 45. Increase his cuddle time. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 46. Be sure to watch his weight. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 47. If you leave, turn on the radio. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 48. Scold him firmly but with kindness. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 49. Respond when he meows. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 50. Give them a thing of cat grass. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 51. Scratch under his chin. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 52. Remind him that you love him. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 53. Give them a box to play in. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 54. If they're old, help them get down. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 55. Let them lick you with their rough tongue. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 56. Record precious memories. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 57. Dress them up in ribbons. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 58. Give them a flea treatment. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 59. Make a vet appointment. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 60. Give them a little wet food. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 61. When they scratch you, don't get angry. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 62. Give them some private time. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 63. Treat them with respect. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 64. When he grooms himself, say good job. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 65. Let them chase a laser pointer. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 66. Clean out their ears. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 67. Never smoke around them. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 68. Buy a sturdy cat carrier. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 69. Listen to them purr. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 70. Tempted by temptations. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 71. Give them your full attention. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 72. Don't trap them in the laundry basket. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 73. Let them sleep in bed with you. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 74. Make sure they're not locked in the closet. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 75. Don't let them play in plastic bags. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 76. Give them a massage. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 77. touch him as you pass by. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 78. If he's on the couch, don't be mad. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 79. If they hate fans, turn the fan off. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 80. When there's a bird outside, say, hey, look. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 81. Intrigue them with a funny sound. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 82. Don't forget sardine time. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 83. Let him play with your old socks. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 84. Stroke in the direction that his fur goes. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 85. Admire his long whiskers. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 86. Keep his box away from his food. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 87. Pretend that he's a piano. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 88. Don't interrupt them while they're eating. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 89. When they're scared, go and comfort them. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 90. Let him have a lick. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 91. If their breath stinks, give them greenies. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 92. Give him a ball with a bell in it. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 93. If it's hot, put ice in their bowl. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 94. Let him drink out of the sink. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 95. Don't vacuum if it scares him. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 96. Draw a picture of him. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 97. If you drop some food, it's theirs now. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 98. Read him a book. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 99. Feed him again. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 100. Just love them every day. 100 loving ways. 100 loving ways. 100 loving ways. 100 loving ways. 100 loving ways.
That's for you, Aunt Rayla.
God love you, and thanks for always being there for us and encouraging us to go the extra mile and make it this far.
And also just making me hungry a little bit. All those sweets that when you were eating, just all the candy treats and all of those are delicious in my mouth. I love those.
Do you want to go get a treat?
Well, I'm on kind of a diet, so I'm trying not to indulge as often as I used to. I need to, as good as it sounds, I need to try to do a little bit better.
Oh, I thought we'd swing by Butterboy.
You are really twisting my arm, Jonathan. You are really twisting my arm. Butterboy? We have not been to Butterboy in a while.
I mean, look, if you get a bag of tray scrapings, it's not like you're eating an entire enchilada or whatever. You're just having a few bites.
That's true.
Nobody ever said, hey, you got to not have anything good. People said moderation.
Moderation, yeah. And that's what I'm trying. Tell you what, let's head over to Butterboy, and I'll decide on the way there that I'm going to eat something at Butterboy. I'm going to say right now. So Jonathan and I are going to go have a bite to eat, and we hope if you're hungry, please go as well. But we hope you join us next week once again to listen to 100 Ways to Love a Cat on the 100 Ways to Love a Cat podcast.